Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, Pokemaniacs. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with more of the Pokemon Adventures manga, the story of X and Y, where previously two different towers in the Kalos region came under a form of siege, although it was mostly through infiltration, one by the mysterious Essentia in the Tower of Mastery, where Karina and her grandfather and their ancestry had handed down the secrets of Mega Evolution over the years, including to Steven Stone at some point in the past, as well as someone from Kanto? No, they made it sound like a few people from Kanto. Essentia was on a mission to obtain a Mega Stone and potentially a Keystone from Master Gherkin, although he informed her that he had already handed over all of the Keystones and Mega Stones that he had in his possession, and thus over the course of their battle, the Tower of Mastery fell, but Karina and Gherkin were shown just how dire the situation involving the Mega Evolution Stones had become. Meanwhile, Alexa had finished her report on the Vanillville Town incident and was further informed by her sister Viola what happened in Santa Luna City, informing her to look out for the kids should they come through. Alexa gathered her notes and headed for the Prism Tower to meet with Professor Sycamore, only to find the editor-in-chief of her newspaper already finishing his interview with Sycamore, waving the professor off. But X senses something amiss in the tower and heads up just as Sycamore leaves. And entering, X and his friends find Alexa under attack by the editor, who more or less reveals himself to be none other than a member of Team Flare, looking to squash Alexa's article and her along with it. Alexa realizes that there is an even greater force in the Kalos region trying to make sure that the Vanillville Town incident doesn't become public knowledge, as it has not been mentioned at all during any news interview. X manages to defeat the editor, with Alexa handing over the only document that the editor hadn't destroyed, and thus she leaves to meet up with her sister Viola. And after Trevor wakes up, he questions why they aren't going to meet with Professor Sycamore. But the situation with Lysander has made it clear to them that while Sycamore might be trustworthy, the people around him not so much. And with everything that they've undergone, they've become suspicious of anyone and anything that might cross their path, and thus they decide to leave Lumio City. But unbeknownst to them, an Electrike, who had been helping restore power to the city, who had rolling blackouts for quite some time, has decided to follow them after witnessing X's battle. Bonnie heads up to the tower, where her brother's Pokemon had been helping with the power situation, finding the unconscious editor-in-chief as well as one of their Pokemon missing. She informs Clemont, the Lumio City gym leader, who I tend to forget that's the city he actually is the gym leader of, but you can kind of blame the anime for that, because it made sure that I just did not know that for the longest time. The Clemont is made aware, but this is interrupted when Grant, the Silage City gym leader, notices someone being accosted by people in red suits. This is none other than Grace, Y's mother. But why is she being accosted by Team Flare? And where will Team Flare strike next in order to get at our hero? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, it's adventure number 16, Poor Fish Pinches. And it certainly does. We pick up at a skate park, where someone announces the skate park is located to the west of Lumio City, and roller skaters from across the Kalos region will gather to demonstrate their best skills. We see Shauna, Trevor, and Y watching. Shauna saying, wow. Y says, they're really good, but our friend's as good as them too. Look. As she points to Tierno, pulling out some amazing skater skills. Like, my god, this kid. Y and Shauna overhear some other skaters saying, impressive, I've never seen him around here before. Look at him showing off all those skate skills at ease. Y and Shauna smile to each other, while Trevor's inner monologue goes, saying, we all have a dream. I want to be a Pokemon researcher. Y wants to be a sky trainer. Shauna wants to be a furfru groomer. And Tierno wants to be a dancer. The people around start applauding after Tierno just utterly styles all over the skate park. Realizing that he's been watched, embarrassed skates off, saying, "Thank you very much." Shauna waves over, saying, "I like that dance just now with your skates, Tierney." Why, says the Pokemon were enjoying it too, as we see Chespin and Charmander dancing up a storm as well. Oh, they're all synchronized and everything. Were they doing it before too? Nah, they were just watching before. Trina says, "Yeah, thanks, mate, but maybe I shouldn't have done it." Why, says, "You mean the red suits, Team Flare?" Ah, yep, they finally officially know that they're Team Flare. Trina says, "Uh-huh." Trevor, worried, says, "Right, they've continued to attack us." Why looks at the sky, worried, saying, "So if we hang around here, they may find us." Shauna points to X's tent, saying, "But Xy's the one who said, let's visit it. Team Flare's prime target is saying okay, so what is there to worry about?" As they all head over to where X is, Vi says, what is he thinking of? Trina questions, what's X doing? While Shauna says, he's been staring at the Pokédex. Trevor says, it looks like he's finally interested in it. While Shauna dismissively says he's been at it for ages now. While Y notes, he always liked reading data and whatnot, as we do see that he's under the sheet just going through the decks. Oh, what the heck is that? Oh, is that the stat reader? As X thinks to himself, Mountain Kalos Pokédex. Pokemon that mainly live in the mountainous area to the east of Kalos. Coastal Kalos Pokédex. Pokemon that mainly live on the shore and sea to the west of Kalos. And finally, the Pokemon that live in the inland central area, the Central Kalos Pokédex. 3 separate Pokédexes are inside this machine. Oh, that's a lot. While Sycamore's words chime into X's head, where he says, that's right. In order to smoothly go through the vast data, they developed it so you could switch to any of the 3 Pokédexes you want to use. Amazing, right? Most of all, the spirit of the developers fused into the Pokédex is so... And X just shakes his head, trying to dismiss Sycamore's rant, while he thinks to himself, I don't know about the man who gave it to me, but the Pokédex itself is very impressive. Oh, he's getting data on the Kangaskhan, the area they live in, image and cry, comparing your Pokemon. Kanga, an ordinary Kangaskhan, it Mega evolves into Mega Kangaskhan. An ordinary Lucario, it Mega evolves into Mega Lucario. It's not just my Pokemon, it records the Pokemon I've met so far, too. In that case, it should have recorded, those 2 Pokemon as well. Where are they? Found them. The Horned Pokemon, number 148, Xerneas, and the Winged Pokemon, number 149, Yveltal. The 2 Pokemon that appeared on that day when our hometown, Vanillville, was torn apart. The horned Pokemon is called Xerneas. The winged Pokemon is called Yveltal. A Pokemon who gives life and a Pokemon who steals life. Only for Y to barge in saying, hey X, how long are you going to play around with that thing? Aren't we going yet? Though X just slams the door to his little tent, saying, not yet. And I think Tino wants to skate a little longer. He's actually a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? Empathetic than he sometimes lets on. As Y turns saying, you do? Well, Tino, embarrassed, says, oh, yeah. Y tells him with a smile, in that case, you can go and skate. Shauna shrugs, saying, that's right. You can't go anywhere until Xy's satisfied. Tino looks out, saying, yeah, but... Trevor notes, hey, I see skate rails on top of the hill over there, too. No one seems to be using them, so why don't you skate over there? Tino skates over, saying, right, I'll be back later. Oh man, that's a massive grind rail. That feels a little dangerous. As Tino notes, this looks like a difficult course. I get the feeling that I'm close to coming up with a new move, he says to his Corphish. He skates over and grinds down the rail. Oh, there's a section that isn't there for the rail. My God, that's intense. Tino says, oh, okay, I'll jump over it without getting off the rail. Go! And he goes in for a massive leap. My God, the skill of this kid. But as he shouts, woohoo! He notices something approaching from behind. He says, what? Oh! As he's hit by something and wipes out. Tino says, ow, as he takes a little pamphlet encased in a leather pouch. Looking at it, he says, huh? It reads, Pokeball Factory Takeover Plan. Oh God, is this Team Flare again? Tino reads it saying, huh? Pokeball Factory Takeover Plan? The Pokeball Factory near Lavera City? It's the factory that produces all the Pokeballs used in Kalos. What is this? Oh, it's a Team Flare admin, isn't it? I had just seen them the other day, looking them up. I didn't even realize that, because I always thought Celosia and the others and Mabel, they were the admins. Because I don't think most of the admins in the game have names. Okay. And she has a Flygon. Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen a Flygon, which is one of my favorite Pokemon. Love me a Flygon. The admin says, ouch. Hey! As she sees Tierno with the itinerary in his hands, she reaches out saying, give it back! But Tierno manages to dodge out of the way, causing her to dive into some bushes. Tierno then reads through the itinerary that reads, this one has instructions. Sneak into a delivery truck on the way back to the factory after delivering the Pokeballs to get past the security. Investigate the delivery route to plan a location and method of sneaking in onto the truck. How would you do something like this? The female admin comes out of the bushes saying, obviously, to stop the supplies of Pokeballs in Kalos. Tierno shouts, if you did something like that, we wouldn't be able to capture wild Pokemon. The admin says, right, that's the whole point of our plan. Hey, why would you even admit to any of this? Have you any idea what has happened because people have been capturing Pokemon? People who aren't even worthy of having a Pokemon have their own Pokemon now. That is why the world has become ugly and distorted, and it is the job of Team Flare to set things straight. Tierno shocks, saying, Team Flare? The admin says, we, Team Flare, need the power to retrieve a beautiful world, so we must steal in order to give it to those who are more worthy. Tierno thinks to himself, I have to tell the others, and he skates off down the rail, leaving the admin in his dust. The admin shouts, you're not going anywhere. Flygon, Earth Power! And which causes the earth underneath the rail to erupt, cutting off Tierno's escape and seemingly burying him under rubble. X seems to feel this disturbance while everyone else is watching Charmander and Chespin perform. X looks out, seeing the ruckus. He shouts, Mariso, Salome, come with me, as he takes off. Meanwhile, the admin's Flygon tail whips Corphish, leaving it injured. As Tierno cries out for his Corphish, X comes over the ridge with his Kangaskhan, shouting, are you alright, Tierno? Tierno calls out to X, as X immediately induces Mega Evolution with his Keystone, Mega evolving Kangaskhan into Mega Kangaskhan, facing off with the Team Flare admin's Flygon. The admin says, ooh, Mega Evolution. You must be the children the Team Flare scientists are after. She once again has Flygon use Earth Power, disrupting all of X's Pokemon, leaving them in the dust. X says, unstable ground, and an enemy in the sky. The admin says, in the end, even if you can use Mega Evolution, it's a total waste if you cannot find the opportunity to win in a difficult situation like this. That is why we must steal from the weak, to give to the strong. That is how we will be able to get back a beautiful world. Ah, they're elitists. Gotcha. X is bewildered, saying, steal? Give. The admin says, what I just said aren't my words, though. They are the words of our boss. Why don't I take that Mega Ring and Mega Stone from you? I bet that would make the scientists happy. X tells Tierno, we cannot ignore what these guys are doing. Or is that Tierno saying it? But suddenly, Corphish gets Tierno's attention and gestures over to the railing. Tierno seems to realize what Corphish is getting at, as X chimes in, saying, Tierno. He shows off the Pokedex which reads Corphish, the ruffian Pokemon. Its hardy vitality enables it to adapt to any environment. Its pincers will never release prey. X says Corphish never releases its prey. In other words, you've got a chance of winning if it can pinch the enemy with its pincers. We'll keep them busy for you. Realizing what X is saying, Tierno says thanks. X then has Chespin use Pin Missile and has Charmander use Ember. But Flygon manages to evade, the admin saying, it's useless. But a ways away, Tierno says, okay, let's do it. As he makes his way down the railing towards the slope that has been created because of the eruption of the earth. Tierno tells Corphish, let's stop Flygon's wings from flapping. 1, 2, and thus he manages to launch in the air, but as he launches off, he kickflips Corfish up towards the Flygon. Corfish is right above it and uses pinchers to pin one of Flygon's wings, twisting it. Ooh, brutal. Causing Flygon immense pain. The admin screams out in terror as Flygon, and Corfish go plummeting down into the forest. Tierno gives X a bit of a high five as we see the admin and her Flygon left in a crater. The admin says, but the plan hasn't failed yet. Those children, I'll steal their power and I'll fill them with agony and despair. She can only watch as Corfish takes off. Meanwhile, Tierno is performing some dance moves. Pinch, twist, and flip over. Ah, okay. What he learned from the little battle he just had. He performs them for Shauna and Trevor. Y says, Shauna says, nice, nice. Well, Trevor says, you got that move from Corfish, right? Tierno says, uh-huh. It's a new move I came up with during the battle today. Trevor says, we all have a dream. I hope this journey is not just a journey of battles and escape, but a journey for us to move a step closer to our dreams as well. Okay. I'm glad we got a little bit of time to spend with Tierno. I was kind of noting the fact that it feels like X is the only one who really gets to put in any kind of work. But I'm glad that in a situation, because X doesn't have any flying Pokemon, but he noticed that Tierno is the one who could get his Pokemon to an elevated location to actually bring down the Flygon. It's just like, hey, it's something only you can do, Tierno, with your sick skate moves. I like that. That's actually really sweet. That's good stuff. All right, next is adventure number 17, Fast Thinking Froakie. We see Y in her swing suit flying overhead with her fletchling. And she says, let's go, Fletchy. Okay, so this is a Y chapter. Gotcha. Mid-air somersault and half backflip. And now Ember, but suddenly she's disrupted by a sudden gust or something? I don't know. She loses her aerial loft as the others are watching. Shauna says she's falling. Tierno calls out for Y, as Froakie is immediately on it, bringing up a whole bunch of frubbles for a safe landing. Right, Y hasn't actually accepted Froakie as her Pokemon. But Y lands safely on some frubbles instead of the rocks below. Everyone else gives out a sigh of relief. As Y recovers, she says, that was close. Froakie's frubbles are great. Oh, she gives it smooches saying, I could train in the sky without a care in the world now that you've joined our group. Thanks, Croaky. I even gave it a nickname. She gives it smooches as the Froakie blushes. While Shauna just dismissively says, dramatic much? Smiles at this, knowing that she was actually worried. While Trevor is taking pictures with his holo... I still can't remember what this thing is named. The Holocaster? Yeah, Holocaster, there it is. While his narration reads, Professor Sycamore, Froakie you gave me to watch over has become Y's Pokemon. Officially? She says she's been inspired by X. It's strange. It's like they were meant to be together from the start. Y then questions, did you film it, Trevor? Trevor says, uh-huh. I'll send it to Professor Sycamore. Y then says, okay, tell him I said hi. Y then starts to undress, saying, well, that's it for training today. Time to get changed. While Shauna shouts at her, hey, don't change in the middle of the road. While Tierno and Trevor immediately turn their heads. Oh, man. You gotta love a girl who just has almost no sense of modesty whatsoever. Shauna then says, hey, Exy, come out. Change inside here, she then says to Y, and she yanks X out of his little hiding place. Y says, but it's not like anyone's watching. While Shauna says, why can't you act like a civilized person? Y does go under the blanket. She mumbles to herself, who cares? We're childhood friends, and there's no room in here. Which, girl, please. Like, everybody understands the situation but her. Trevor's narration reads, we're fine. I'm sorry we left Lumio City without letting you know. There's one more thing I have to apologize for. I'm talking about Fennekin. You gave me this precious Pokemon, and I think it's my responsibility to find it. But I have no clue where it went. China's Furfru was blown away in the same blast. I wonder where they are. At any rate, I'll keep you updated on our situation. But then he remembers Lysander saying, the holocaster has been fixed. It's working fine now. Trevor shivers, but he finishes his message saying, "See you later." Suddenly there's a scream under the blanket. Y comes popping out saying, "Something jumped into the tent." Well, Trevor and Tierno quickly turn away. Shauna questions, "What jumped into the tent?" Y says, "I don't know, but it tingles." And something moves past her. It's, electric. They say, "A wild Pokemon." Well, Y says, "Hey, my clothes." Shauna tells him, "Okay, boys, go get them back for her." Well, Froakie has covered Y with frubbles, and Shauna says, "Nice assist, Croaky." Well, X thinks to himself, "That Pokemon." Alright, and so, I also know that, this might not really be apparent because it's hard to tell, but the reason why Froakie had to really cover her up, despite the fact that it looks like she's wearing, a sports bra or a tank top or something, is because this was originally, she wasn't really wearing anything originally, so, a little bit of censorship there. Yeah. See, these friggin' horn dog mangaka, but they just wanted to have a silly moment, I think, and nothing too egregious, not like they used to do in the past. But then we cut to some location where someone is being shoved. Oh, it's Grace being shoved into a cage by a Team Flare grunt and the male admin. The male admin says, "How many times has this woman tried to escape?" The grunt says, "That was attempt number 5, Admin Chalmers. We've confiscated all her Pokeballs and belongings, but she still manages to keep escaping somehow. Even if she does escape, we have operatives watching everywhere. It won't be easy for her to find anyone to aid and abet her." The grunt says, "But she won't give up. I bet she thinks everything will work out if she can only get out of here." Chalmers says, "She hasn't got a plan for after her escape. Well, just remember to place 5 locks on her cage this time." Jeez. Grace got the skills. 5 locks. Yep, and sure enough, so they're just kidnapping a ton of people. Oh my god. What the heck? Some people who are also locked up call out, "Are you alright, Grace? Hang in there, Grace." Grace says, "I'm fine, thanks. I thought I'd make it this time." Other people say, "Did you find out anything? Like how many days it's been since the incident?" Oh, is it the people of Vanderbilt Town? Were they all captured? Oh my god. Other people say, "Is there anyone out there looking for us? Were you able to contact your daughter?" Grace says, "Sorry, I didn't find out anything. I was captured right away again that fateful day," she thinks back. "He came home from a Rhyhorn race to find the town caught in the middle of a tornado. The people, Pokemon, and buildings were all blown into the air. I was blown away too and lost consciousness. When I came to, I was in prison here with all the other townspeople. Every day we're forced to do some mysterious work." Oh god. She then says, "Huh? What's the matter?" The other townspeople say, "It's just that I think we should give up." Another says, "If an athlete like you can't make it out of here." Another says, "The rest of us will never be able to." Grace calls out, "What are you talking about? You can't give up. We're going to get out of this prison together. And one day we'll all get back to Vanderbilt Town. I'm sure of it." Oh, we then cut over to Clement, who's looking at a magazine with Grace's picture on it. It reads, "Monthly Rock-type Magazine. Rhyhorn Racer Grace. There are plans for next season. Guide to Overcoming Fear." Clement looks through it saying, Rhyhorn Racer Grace. There's a huge feature article about her in this magazine Grant lent me." You see that Grant lent him a lot. Says, her daughter wants to become a Rhyhorn racer too. Yeah. And the article reads, "My greatest rival, my daughter." Oh my god. It well, I just has this look of apprehension when she's on a Rhyhorn. But past Clement, we see Trevor, Tierno, and X chasing something. As Tierno says, "Come back here." Oh, right, the situation from before. They race past Clement. Clement saying, "What?" Shauna races past saying, "Come on, it went that way." Well, why? Still with her clothes. Like, why? You're wearing the rest of your flight suit. Put it up. My god, woman. She is shouting from inside the tent, still partially topless, if not for the frubble, saying, "Give me back my clothes." Yeah, because here's the uncensored version, and it's just like, yeah, she is just airing out them pits. Just, my god, girl. I need you to, like, get a little dressed up here, something. Clement says, What? As he recognizes Y from the article, as they're following behind the Electrike, who's running up a ridge Trina says it's so fast, but as the Electrike looks like it's about to get away, well, Froaky's at the ready with his frubbles and starts sending out a barrage of them, cutting off Electrike's path. And it goes up to confront Electrike. Ooh, but he's at a type disadvantage. Why, he calls out Croaky, though Shauna says it's up against an electric-type Pokemon as Electrike strikes. Ooh, Froaky manages to jump high up in the air. Jump good. You can fly? No, jump good. Points to you if you get that reference. Trina says, look how high it can jump. Electrike tries to strike again with an electric attack, but Froaky is using Double Team. Why says Ennett use Double Team? Trina says it's putting up a formidable fight even though its Pokemon type is at a disadvantage. Electrike notices what seems to be Froaky land behind him, so it tries to go in for a bite. But it's a makeshift, it's a fake Froaky made out of frubbles, Trevor says, only for Froaky to land on Electrike's head, grabbing Y's clothes. Tierno and Trevor say, way to go, while Y brings Froaky in for an embrace, just face full of her frubies. What a silly chapter. He says, thank you, Croaky. Clemon is still watching the scene as they confront this Electrike. Oh, wait, wouldn't he kind of recognize it too? But I guess he's more interested in why. Clemon thinks to himself, whoa, he has a different hairstyle in this photo, but it's the same girl. As we see why finally protecting her modesty. Clemon then says, Rhyhorn Race's Grace's daughter is Giovanni Gabane. What a coincidence. Meanwhile, Shauna and Y are overlooking the Electrike, with Shauna questioning, why did this Electrike steal Y's clothes? Only for Electrike to immediately try to go for her clothes again. Just climbing up her and stuff. Well, Y says, stop. Shauna says, it's doing it again. X then questions, I think it's trying to tell you something. Maybe to keep your sky suit on? Trevor questions, why? Well, X says, it's been luring us to higher ground while running away from us, and it's looking up as we speak. I think it wants you to fly in the air. Why? The Electrike seems to note that X is right on the money, as X says, do you want Y to find something that's located high up? Electrike nods, climbing onto into Y's head. Shauna says, I think Xy's hunch is right. Y says, yeah, maybe. But could you get off of me now? No way am I going to fly up there. Do you have any idea what a pain it is to put that flying suit on? It takes more than 20 minutes just for the top but hey, is it evolving? Yeah, oh my god, it just evolved into a Manectric. What the hell? Why? Why would it just evolve? I don't understand. That is actually kind of wild. Just out of nowhere it evolves. I don't have Manectric in my favorites though. I do like Manectric. I've had one in a few games. I just usually end up trading it off. Although Y is starting to collapse under the weight. Trevor says it evolved. Y says, okay, I'll fly, so get off of me already. God, her poor back. Manectric does just that, and it starts pushing her back into the tent. My God. I says, yeah, I'll change back inside the tent. Clemont then chimes in saying, I heard everything. Perhaps I can be of help to you. You wish to find something located high up, on a tree or a cliff, for example, correct? But it's a hassle to fly up there. That's a universal problem, but have no fear. While everyone else panics, Trevor says, who is this guy? Y comes out of the tent saying, an enemy? Shauna says, he looks suspicious. Tierno says, be careful, everyone. Although Clement is kind of ignoring them, showing off his extendo arm, saying, at times like these, all you need is an expandable A-palm arm. While Shauna says, he looks even more suspicious now. Y says, who are you? Well, Clement says, Calus's greatest inventor, the famous Clement. Everyone knows me. Well, Tierno says, famous. Everyone. Shauna looks to Y saying, do you know him? And Y says, nope. Well, X is looking at the arm saying, that arm thing really expands. How long can it reach? Shoot, this is the most... X is actually immediately interacting with him. The Clement says, hey, don't touch. I'll demonstrate. Check out its reach. Unbeknownst to him, immediately flinging X into the air. Oh no. Okay, he stands up the arm but Froakie shows off that he can jump even higher. Shauna dismissively says, Cookie can jump higher than that. Looks like we don't need your help after all. X says, not entirely. From the look of it, the arm has a camera and sensor built into the end. Clement says, you noticed, that's right. Anything caught on camera will appear on the screen and on my glasses. My arms might not stretch out as high as that Pokémon, but it will come in handy if you're searching for something. Trino says X usually avoids interaction with strangers, but he's talking to him. Right? That caught my attention too. It's like, huh, like X is immediately talking to this kid. Like, huh, you must notice, I sense a main character. Like he sensed when Grace was in danger. You've traveled with Ash in another continuity. Why says maybe, but if he makes one suspicious move, Wyatt looks over to Fletchling and Froakie, and they give like a dangerous nod, like, we're gonna F this kid up. Clement then comes over to Manetric saying, well then, Manetric? What are you looking for? X brings out his Kangaskhan, and Little Kanga goes into the pocket, bringing out the Mega Evolution Stone. X says probably the same thing as this. How did you know? Trevor says, a Mega Stone? How did you know? Seriously, did not pre-read. X looks over at Manetric saying, well, because, and then Clement grabs up the Megastone with his extendo hand, saying, I can search for it by scanning this sample for data. He works at his little backpack computer, saying, I'll adjust the sensor to prioritize finding something with the same shape, size, and texture. Then he puts on his pack, brings out the extendo hand, and starts searching in the trees, saying, let's start with the trees nearby. As everyone looks to Clement's backpack, he says, see anything? Jonah says, I don't think it's in this tree. Y says, hey, Metric, do you have a rough idea where it is? While Trina says, I don't think it knows the exact location of the stone. And as they continue to move through, we see a Team Flare admin, and it's Tyrant. That's the name, right? Tyrant? Yep, Tyrant. As he actively avoids Clement's gaze. As we see there is a Megastone in this tree, with the grunt saying, so close and yet so far. I can't allow you to steal it before our very eyes. Oh, dang. Huh. How did Manetric know it was nearby, though? I mean, I would assume there's a connection, but that's weird. Current location, we've gone from Route 5, Versant Road. Roller skaters from across the Kalos region gather on this hilly path to demonstrate their best skills. And, I don't think we saw this. Camp Farrier Town? How do you pronounce that? Inferior Town. The ancient town was once famous for the long-neglected manor home of a noble family. We completely bypassed that. Weird. And then Route 6, Palias Lane. This tree-lined path was once covered with grass as tall as a person, but it was cleared by the palace. Okay. Well, we're at the last chapter. Overthrowing a tyrant. I love that little witty wordplay. I've missed it so much. The last chapter of this volume and this video. The grunt says to his tyrant, the mission I was given was to gather all the Megastones in Kalos without being seen. And just when I found another Megastone, someone got to it first. Clement says, there's a reading on the sensor. I'll concentrate on this area. As his little camera makes its way into the tree, the grunt has to duck, dodge, and dive, stretching all around the arm as it stretches towards him. The grunt says, a mechanical arm with a camera, huh? I worked hard at my part-time jobs to earn the $5 million it cost to join Team Flare. $5 million? Jeebus! All because I wanted to wear this stylish uniform. It'll ruin everything if I let them catch my face on film. Know what I mean, Tyrant? Only for... Sure enough, the arm has spotted him as he's posing, and he shrieks, only for Clement to see it too, and he shrieks as well, with Y saying, hey! Clement says, there's someone in that tree. Y says, he's a red suit. Clement questions, red suit? Tierno says, how can we explain this to you? Shauna says, a bad guy. He's a bad guy. Clement says, a bad guy? Well, okay then. And he just starts socking the dude in the face. Good on you, Clement. You know what? It's funny enough. The Clement in the anime and in the manga, both awesome kids. Though, then again, I've only seen so much of Clement. I mostly see his little sister a lot of times. She gets the most involvement in the storylines and a lot of the stuff that I've seen. But Clement knocks the grunt and his Tyrogue out of the tree, which Tyrant. Which isn't this like based off of the cover of this volume? I wonder what it is about this. I guess because they find a megastone, but they base the entire cover of this volume on this chapter. Weird. As everyone surrounds the grunt as he recovers, he turns to his tyrant saying, they found us, but that makes things easier because we don't have to sneak around anymore. Meanwhile, Trevor points to the camera on Clement's backpack saying, look, X, this is a megastone, isn't it? Clement says, leave it to me. While the grunt says, not so fast, Tyrant. And Tyrant goes and bites the tree, gnawing around it, causing it to like very cartoonishly have that little divot in the center, and then Tyrant kicks it towards everybody. Oh my god. But as everyone else dives out of the way, Clement seems determined to just stand his ground. But everyone's caught in the top of the tree where all the branches and leaves are. Y emerges with her Froakie saying, is everyone okay? Tierno, who managed to get Shauna to safely, says, barely. While Trevor says, probably. Y says, where's X? While X comes out with his Pokedex saying, here, a Tyrant. The Pokedex reads, Tyrant, the royal hair Pokemon. Its immense jaws have enough destructive force that it can chew up an automobile. It lived 100 million years ago. X quotes the deck saying, a Pokemon with powerful jaws that could chew through a car. Well, Trevor looks around saying, where's Clement? Clement weakly says, here. Oh god, as he's caught right under the tree. Dude, oh my god, brutal. Clement says, me and the Megastone too. Trevor calls out to Clement, while the grunt just forces the tree further onto Clement, takes the Megastone, saying, thank you very much. Well then, it's time for us to disappear now. Y says, what? As X gets at the ready to unleash his Pokemon, the grunt unleashes several of his, saying, enjoy playing with these guys. As he unleashes several Esper, who all use a psychic attack to blast back X and Y. Y is hit especially hard, and as the others go over to Y, X calls out to her. But Y says, go after him, X. Tierno says, we'll take care of this. Clement says, please go. Don't let my inventions work go to waste. X gives a determined nod, as he then calls out, Trevor, Manectric, come with me, please. And as the others bring out their Pokemon, namely Skitty, Corphish, Fletchling, and Froakie, they all fight off the Esper, allowing X, Manectric, and Trevor to pass. White and her Rhyhorn tries to get the tree off of Clement, as she says, hold on, I'm moving the tree. Rhyhorn, please help. And Rhyhorn easily does just that. Clement says, here, thank you. And she gets him out from under the tree, with Clement saying, this must be the Rhyhorn you were riding in the photograph in Rock-type magazine. Y says, what? You read that magazine? Clement says, yes, I saw your mother yesterday too. Y says, what? Really? Where? Where did you see her? Uh-oh. Now that he knows about the red suits, gotta find out your mom's in pretty big trouble. Meanwhile, we cut over to X still chasing down the grunt. Trevor's kind of struggling, saying, how long can they keep running? But as X gets through the clearing of trees with Manectric, they come upon I wasn't sure what it was. X says, this is Perfume Palace, I think. As they look at the palace, they then spot the Tyrant. Trevor saying, oh, over there. What should we do, X? What if this place is the Red Suit's headquarters? But they're suddenly bowled over by Manectric, who's desperate to get that Megastone. Trevor saying, whoa. Oh, they're suddenly on the back of Manectric. Trevor saying, what is going on? X says to Manectric, you really want the Megastone, don't you? Kanga, I need your help. As they end up in a big hedge maze. They're playing keep away with the friggin' Tyrant. Just over here. X thinks to itself, it's not just running away from us. It's trying to keep us on its tail. But why? What for? Oh, we find out what for. As Tyrant dives from out of the brush into Kangaskhan's pouch, rustling around, and then it leaps out, now with another Megastone. Kanga's Megastone. Trevor saying, it stole Kanga's Megastone. Now, meanwhile, Y is manhandling Clement, saying, my mother? Are you sure it was my mother? Clement says, yes. I saw her with a friend of mine who is a rock-type specialist. I'm positive. She was near a drink vendor at Shalaj City. Oh, come to think of it. Y says, what? Clement says, that bad guy just now. They were wearing a red uniform just like his. Y says, who was? Clement says, the men with your mother. They were wearing red uniforms too. Y says, what? Meanwhile, I guess there's a house nearby? Hey, is that Bill? Oh, okay. Okay, who's this guy? Cassius. Oh, okay. So this guy is just like the other people who work on the PCs and stuff. Work on the storage system, like Amanita and Bebe and Cilio and stuff. Okay. He's a lot more punk than I'm used to. Oh man, Bill again. That's so cool. He's on a video call with Cassius saying, that's all I've got for you. Got to tell you. Huh? Cassius? Where'd you go? Cassius? Cassius says, my bad. I was taking a look, see outside. Someone's been making quite a ruckus out there for a while now, for real. Bill shouts, will you listen up, please? Did you get my explanation about the trays and the battle box? Cassius sits down saying, I know all about that already. Don't you realize how many years I've maintained the Kalos Pokemon storage system? Oh, you got a whole bunch of punk-looking chicks. One of them kind of looks like Plumeria. Cassius says, you need to quit being so cranky, Bill. How's about some milk? Does one good, you know. Bill says, quit mocking me by imitating my goldenrod accent. Seriously. No, Cassius says, seriously, you ought to drink more milk for your health, for real. Okay, I'm hanging up. Catch you later. Well then, gather round, guys. And the rest of his team said, huh? What is it, Cassius? Cassius says, someone's been having a heck of a fight in my backyard. If they're fighting on my turf, it's my right to join the battle. Wouldn't you agree? For real. Huh. Wow. He's a lot more of an interesting guy than I'm used to for most of the storage system maintainers. Got a whole freaking gang. Does his gang have names? I don't think so. Yeah, they're just Cassius's gang. Huh. They got cool designs though. Very punk. You know, freaking a vibe kind of like one of those teams you would usually run into nowadays, like Team Skull, Team Yell, Team Star, whereas they're not so much of an evil team as they're more or less just ne'er-do-wells. Meanwhile, back in the hedge maze, you can pick up with Trevor and X still looking around. Versus, what should we do? They've stolen Kanga's Megastone too. That's why they lured us into this maze. But X pauses, and they overhear the grunt saying, that's right, talk about a big haul. I got hold of Manectite and Kangaskhanite in one fell swoop. Trevor says, Manectite? X says, Kangaskhanite? The grunt says, what? You don't know? Then I'll tell you. There isn't just one kind of Megastone. There are as many Megastones as there are Pokemon who can Mega Evolve. The Megastone Kangaskhan needs to Mega Evolve is this Kangaskhanite. The Megastone this Manectric needs to evolve is this Manectite. Trevor says, I see. The colors are different. In other words, to Mega Evolve, a Pokemon needs to hold the Megastone specific to it. The grunt says, exactly. Too bad for you, though. You've got two Pokemon who can Mega Evolve and no Megastones to match. X says, happy now, Trevor? Trevor questions, what? X smiles at him saying, we've learned something new about Megastones, and now we need to get those Megastones back. Trevor is kind of shocked by X's optimism as X turns to the Manectric saying, you want the stone too, don't you, Manectric? After all, you came all this way from Prism Tower in search of that piece of Manectite. So it just knew that it was out there? That's kind of wild. But I guess, given the ability it can instill, there would be a kind of bond between the Pokemon and the trainer and the Megastones. Trevor's shocked saying, Prism Tower? You mean this Manectric is one of the Pokemon who was producing electricity at the tower? X says, yeah. And is he watching Kanga fight after it Mega Evolved? Do you want to fight at my side too? Manectric gives a nod, and X jumps on his back saying, Okay, let's go then, Elec. Huh, and he's already nicknamed it. See, I'm so tempted to add Manectric to my favorite Pokemon list because of this. I like Manectric though, but I don't know, its design never quite gels with me as much as other Pokemon. As he watches X and Manectric dive into battle, Trevor's narration goes out reading, "It turns out the Pokemon who can Mega Evolve have a strong urge to find their matching Megastones. Of course, that's a surprise to me, but I've even more surprised to learn that X noticed Electrike observing our fierce battle at Prism Tower. Come to think of it, there have been a lot of moments during this journey when X's hunches have proven right, and I think I know why. Okay, I'm interested to know. X locked himself in his room and broke off contact with the outside world and people for a long time. His life was devoid of stimulation, which led to an already sensitive person becoming extra sensitive. Sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, and five senses must have been amplified." Yeah, I'm calling cap on that, but whatever. I mean, we've seen this kind of weird sensing ability in other trainers, though. That's the thing. We've seen it in red. We've seen it especially in blue. We see Silver do it from time to time. Like, there are trainers who just have this weird sense going on sometimes, and they're able to hone in on things that you normally shouldn't be able to sense. Trevor thinks X has been skilled at Pokemon battles since he was a little kid. He's always had excellent observation skills, insight, judgment, and the ability to think on his feet. He's distrustful of grown-ups. His inherent traits must have become enhanced by his increased sensitivity. Maybe that's why X's intuition has been so incredibly accurate since we began this journey. I don't know, but I'll roll with it. We've seen some crazy stuff in this series, so why not? I mean, psychic powers and the ability to talk to Pokemon, it's so ingrained in this series, even from before that was introduced in the game, so why not just roll with that explanation? X just told me he's going to get the Megastone back like it was nothing. It's been forever since I've seen X so positive and confident. X then commands Manectric to attack using Wild Charge. To be continued. Oh, we even have a little readout of their Pokemon. X's Pokemon. Oh, his Kangaskhan is 32. My god. Again, it's always good to have them have Pokemon outside of the starters, because you can usually see where they were at with certain things beforehand. Kangaskhan already at 32. My god. Chespin's at 15. Charmander's at 14. Oh, it should be evolving soon. And Manectric at 27. My god. Huh. Oh, Charmander's female. Okay, that's cool. Well, wise Pokemon. Fletchling 14. Froakie at 15. I actually forgot she had a Sylveon. 26. Man, that's high level. And then Rhyhorn at 31. My god. But it's a racing Rhyhorn, not really for battle. Although, considering she doesn't really want to battle, could it evolve? I wonder. Yeah, so the chapters that I thought were going to be more Y-based ended up not even remotely being just that. But I said it before, I'm glad that Tierno got a moment to really kind of just shine a little bit. Show off all of his skills. You know, I've gotten so used to people kind of dissing Trevor, Tierno, and Shauna because of the role they play in the story. Mostly Trevor and Tierno, because they're not as involved as I guess Shauna is, and people kind of dismiss them in terms of the games. But I don't know, I tend to like the comrade characters and friend characters a little bit more than other people, and I like Trevor's little bit of narration. I like Tierno and his big heart. Shauna with her a bit of an attitude problem, but she cares deep down. Y with her kind of wild nature, very outgoing, while X is reserved but very attuned to what's going on around him. I do love the group dynamic in every possible sense of the word. So I just love it when we get these little moments that the mangaka take to kind of give certain characters a little bit more to go on. Not to mention we're seeing Froakie's skills and Y officially making it her Pokemon. I was kind of wondering, with everything that was going on, Manectric might want to be Y's Pokemon, but it ended up being X's. So I'm interested to see X getting yet another Mega Evolution Stone, and then getting to see Bill again. See, these connections, because I've been told that the timeline isn't really firmly established after the events of the Emerald story arc. It kind of cuts off from there. But we've had certain characters kind of show up in ways where it's just like, okay, you're shown that a little bit of time has passed, but at the same time, you're not given so much that you really have to severely age up the characters. Although because of what happens in Sun and Moon, Red and Blue should have appeared in their oldest forms and incarnations, but as far as I know, that doesn't happen. So that's a bit of a bummer in my opinion. It would have been a good time to have them show up, but I guess they just didn't want to have them overshadow any other characters. But X's more reserved personality gives a lot of opportunity for a lot of the other characters to shine. It's not so much of that could be a detriment to X, but I'm not really seeing it that way, especially because of X's immediate care and immediate attunement to what his friends are thinking and feeling. He locks onto it so easily and so immediately. And I don't know, that's really great. It really is a kind of breath of fresh air after having Black, who was kind of self-centered at first, but ultimately was a very caring and nurturing person and had so much love for his friends and his Pokemon and, White. But then you had Black, who was just so reserved and locked down and serious. That was kind of exhausting sometimes, because he just wouldn't open up. But now you have X, who is reserved, but that care is still there. He cares a lot, especially about his friends. He loves making sure they have fun. He can be angry, he can be a little hot-headed, but there's always that care and love and understanding. And that's such a beautiful thing at every turn we have it. He questions, we saw it here. He let Tierno just go out and skate, bud. He cares about Tierno's mental health and well-being and just having that fun element. Even if it did put them in a little bit of danger, there were also times where our heroes could get that confidence to really strike out and do what they needed to do. And he always cares about Trevor and Trevor's lust for knowledge. Trevor wants to know, he wants to understand. And X always kind of acknowledges that. Like, are you happy, Trevor? You got a little bit of knowledge. And that seems condescending sometimes. But no, he really cares. Just like, hey, you got a little bit more knowledge, bud. And X always chimes in with a little bit more that he's learned in order to make sure that Trevor is up to date on whatever they got going on. That's always kind of interesting. I wonder if Clement will continue to be a factor in this, because he just kind of accidentally became involved. I thought I'd feel some kind of way about the fact that we're not really doing the gym leader thing, but at the same time, it makes sure that we just get to see the good sides of the gym leader. Viola and now Clement, we got to see how much they care. They still maintain that thing of gym leaders kind of being that force within things to kind of keep things on lock. And I do hope that the gym leaders help our heroes out in the end by all coming together and fighting back against Team Flare. But we'll just have to see. So that's all I could really think of to talk about here. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also remember to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din and I hope to see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.